Oh, hello. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Johnny Baghead. That's me. Hey. Welcome back. It is a Thursday. It is a hot one. And man, it's a hot one. Especially if you have a bag for a head. Don't have a lot of airflow in here, folks, but I'll manage. It's my stupid gimmick. I'll ride it into the sun. Oh, right into the sun, that sounds hot. Anyway, so this is maybe a stream that kind of came out of nowhere, though I did talk about it happening on Twitter this week, but very recently it just randomly got announced, hey, Capcom's making another remaster of Dead Rising 1. This time like a full graphical overhaul with gameplay changes. And I thought, you know what? I should do something to tie in with that. We've already played the first Dead Rising Remaster, the PS4 version. But I wanted to go through, some of the sequels. So what we're going to do today, we're going to look at Dead Rising 2, Case Zero, the weird XBLA, prequel teaser game. But before we get to that, also that's Dead Rising 2 you're hearing there. But before we do that, what I actually want to do is talk about this remaster, this new one, the Deluxe Remaster, which I already can't stand that name. So confusing, but whatever. So I would really love to hear people's opinions on this, just like how people are feeling, and specific to what I say, because the reception I've seen to what they've shown has been very positive, even from some die-hard Dead Rising 1's my boy, that's the game, seem fairly positive on it. I have more mixed feelings about this what they've shown. So I've got two videos queued up here. We'll start with this one. This is just, and we're not gonna get any the video audio, but the video audio is just a looping music track from the game. But this is, I think, a cut of all of the gameplay and cutscenes they've shown so far without the dev colorways in. Now, I'll start with positives that I've already seen. The texture improvements, the environmental model improvements, some of the facial animation. That's probably the main thing I'd say visually I think looks the best. And some of this map screen stuff. We'll pause a bit. But a lot of the items you pick up or things in stores, those do look better. Also, just on a gameplay perspective, them put in an actual slope and stairs to let you get up here instead of having to deal with the survivors having to vault up onto here. That in itself is huge. That that almost sells it already. Also, I think when I was looking at this footage, I didn't realize that they're using this compass instead of the arrow. I don't know if I prefer that. I might prefer the arrow. I am curious if any of this HUD you can hide, because having some of this stuff always on the screen, I think maybe I wouldn't be a fan of. But there's some stuff I really like. I don't necessarily think this is better, it's just different. This is cool, being able to just fast forward time and some a little bit more granular notes on that stuff. Actually, I want to go back in that footage. Hang on. No, okay. But I can talk about it in this this still shot here. I'm not sold on the graphical overhaul when it comes to two main aspects: character models and lighting engine. There's also a third thing kind of related to that, but I have to get to a specific part in the trailer. So, Jesse here. Here, I'll go back to the browser because you can see my mouse, I think. Jesse here, I think they've done mostly okay at capturing, like, the spirit of her model. It's not perfect, but it's pretty decent. Frank, however, I just do not know what's going on with Frank. And when we look at the comparison image, we'll talk about it a bit more. It doesn't look like they've based it off of this model. This original look. It looks closer to one of the beta models, or how he looked in, like, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. And it's just frustrating. Capcom has this weird history of just fucking with the faces of their established characters. Resident Evil's had it the worst, where it was just be, oh, here's this famous character you know of, and here they show up in a new game, and they just don't look the same. It's like the outfit will be the thing that's the similar. They might have a kind of similar haircut, but, like, nothing else about them. And that's what it feels like with Frank. It's okay. It's the analogy I use when I wanted to ask people on in a Discord server about it, is parts of the game, the NPCs look like a movie sequel that couldn't get all the original actors back, and Frank looks like that to me. Also, top onto the fact of that despite the fact that the story is identical, the dialogue's, like, the script's the same, the cutscenes, even the motion capture and the camera movements they use for the cutscenes is the same. They've replaced the original voice actor, TJ Rotolo, who's not only the voice actor, he did, like, all the cutscene motion capture for Frank. And it's like, well, why? As far as I could tell, there's no reason to record new dialogue. And a bunch of the characters have their original voices. And the guy they've got isn't, like, made any attempt to match the original energy. Like, okay, it didn't have to be someone doing an impression of TJ Rotolo's performance. But everything I've heard, it sounds very cartoony and over the top. He's very like, hey, I'm Frank West. It's just, that's not what Frank sounds like. And presumably, you know, I don't know if the actor was directed to match the original, like, timing of the audio. I'm going to guess no, considering that they've changed the facial animations. They've probably had wiggle room there. They probably just like, okay, well, you know, it has to fit this time, but you don't have to match the exact cadence. But it sounds nothing like him. Heck, it doesn't even, it's like, it's not the actor from Dead Rising 4, but it sounds closer to that version, the version that no one likes, that technically Capcom, I guess, went back on, because they brought TJ Rotolo back for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. So that's one of the things. Also, like, when it comes to the other characters, and we'll see it throughout these videos, some characters look like their original characters, and then others of them are, like, look like just weird. They look very cartoony, and they don't look very realistic to everyone else. Here's a good example that points out my problems with the lighting. It's like, okay, the dynamic lighting, this kind of stuff, looks great. However, the original mood, the kind of art, like the indoor artificial lighting, you know, like big shopping malls would kind of do the thing where they light stuff in an impossibly lit way that makes it feel like kind of messes with your sense of time. Casinos do this a lot, where they purposefully have no windows and they make it so you can't tell how long you've been in there. But more, like, shopping malls would do something similar. And then you go from that, and maybe they messed up, and this is like this is dusk, and this original footage was taken like earlier in the day. But now it looks like very moody, and just like the color tone and the atmosphere feels very different. And also, there's this weird thing here where it looks like there's mist indoors. It's very cloudy back here. That's the only way I can describe it. I don't know what other word to use. It looks like it's what some games would do in older generations, where they would have like this weird kind of indoor fog to hide draw distance stuff. I don't think that's what's happening. I think this is a weird lighting thing. So I'm not sure if this has been 100% confirmed. I'm pretty sure this is not using an updated MT frameworks, which is the original engine it ran on. I believe this is being ported over to the RE engine. But the RE engine has some problems with dynamic lighting. I think it's the reason why all the Resident Evil games on that engine only let you use the flashlight in set areas, because if you could turn a light source on anywhere, you would start getting very weird issues. And I think, like, this is an example of it. Yeah, you can see it there as well. Hang on. Yeah, in this corridor, the one in the plaza, it just looks foggy. And just, everything seems, like, darker in general. Also, you'll see this a lot. This is not the worst of it. But Frank's hair, because and this has been, I think, a problem in a couple of their games with certain hair colors and models, where the lighting, like, doesn't like certain hair tones, and it will make people look like they have graying premature hair when they don't. This is actually a great example shot, though, but I've got a video here that directly compares stuff. It's like, it's weird, because, like, on a technical level, this lighting looks great in the environment, but it doesn't look like what these areas should look like. Yeah, see, look there. Look at the lighting here on Frank. His hair, like, the light should not make his hair look this light. Especially considering that he's, like, indoors under artificial light. See, look. Like, you could be tricked into thinking in some of this footage here that the player's picked up one of the hair dyes. But that's not the case. Like, it's just, the line's fucked up. Also, I'm curious about this. I'm curious if this is supposed to be subtitles for the, for characters. Because, though there were subtitles I think there were subtitles in the original game, I don't think there were subtitles for stuff that they would say. You know, there'd be the dialogue that you would see when you talk to survivors, which I don't think that's being dubbed over. If that was the reason that they had to replace Frank because they were voice acting all of the survivor dialogue, I would get it. Maybe this is subtitling the stuff that it's like the psychopaths and the survivors would say outside of those, like, dialogue exchanges. But this area, they've added stuff to it in a way that I think is, like, not great, but we'll talk about it a bit more in some of the other comparison footage. Like, these parts look great. This area looks okay, but yeah, this area just looks like misty and washed out. And it's something with the way that the RE engine does lighting in certain aspects, and I don't think it's suited for a game that wasn't built from the start for that engine in mind. Like, this guy actually looks pretty close to his original model, as does this lady here. Though, I actually want to look at her and slow it down, because there's another issue I've noticed that seems to be a huge downgrade. Sorry, I didn't mean to full screen it, but let me just look. Okay, yes. There's better examples later. The reflection technology is super downgraded in this version. They were able to do, like, real-time like, projection of environment stuff. On stuff like glasses and other reflective wearables, it would just be it wouldn't use dynamic objects, it would just be the static environment. But it looked more realistic. This looks really blurry. It looks like the really messed up art. Like, it's not the RTX stuff they used in Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition. And I've heard reports that a lot of their RTX upgrades in the RE engine just don't look very good. But it kind of looks like a messed up version of that. But I don't think that's what they're doing. I think they're just trying to do, like, approximation. But yeah, like, this doesn't look like Frank West to me. It looks closer to, like, the Tokyo Game Show model. See, there he is there. His hair just looks grey. Like, I'm really glad that the gameplay seems to be fairly intact. The one thing they've changed is I know you can aim while you're aiming guns. You can now move while aiming, which well, I mean, let's hope that doesn't break boss encounters, because the game was not designed with you being able to do that in mind. But we'll have to see on that. Yeah. Okay, so we'll talk about it a bit more later, but like in some areas they have just added more environment stuff, which I'm like worried is gonna make stuff more. Oh god, there. See, this is the worst one. I'm shocked. I'm shocked they put this shot comparison in the trailer, because I think this looks terrible. Like, okay, one advancement here is that they show that they've now put depth of field effects in the cutscenes, and that's kind of cool. Granted, like, there's the issue that it might mess up some of the intended presentation in some cutscenes, but I think here it works. Because you can tell that this poster in the background is higher resolution, but they've used depth of field here. But look how fucked her hair looks here. Like, she's meant to have very dark brown hair, and in this cutscene, she looks like she's almost got, like, half-grayed hair. Like, the lighting is so broken. But then, look, in that shot, which I think I used the wrong skip tool there. But yeah, Frank doesn't look like a real human anymore. He always had a weird face, but he looks especially weird and a lot older as well. Oh yeah, I forgot. If I double-click on the window, it's gonna... Yeah, see, now the hair color's changed. There's something wrong with their lighting and the way they model hair. See, like, this stuff, this looks amazing. That looks great. Those advancements look great. These guys, I think, these two actually look a lot like their original models. You could say something, obviously, about how the lighting stuff's changed here, but again, that could just be the way they capture the time of the day. I forget this guy's name, but he looks amazing. They've done a really good job with him. And like I said, they've done a really good job actually remodeling and retexturing the environment. And in some places, they've been really faithful. Here we go. Yeah, look at these mirrors. These are not real mirrors. And there's actually a really good comparison bit later on. Like, yeah, this is what they're showing of, like, oh yeah, we're doing more dynamic time of day lighting, which is cool. Because I think in the original game, it was just, there was like one palette for daytime and one for nighttime. But there are problems where, like, the game will look... Here's, like, again, if everything in the mall is supposed to be running and on, so even in dusk time, unless the lights turn off automatically earlier, it should look very bright indoors, but dusky outside. Outside of, like, areas like, the North Plaza that's, like, in construction still. That bit's cool, because that's them actually, like, these are shots from, like, the original reveal trailer, some of these shots. Not that one. These ones. They, like, recreated shots. But see what I mean? Like, this is what Frank's supposed to look like. That doesn't look like the same guy. That looks like you recasted him. And you technically did. And yeah, see, there's again where the hair looks just wrong. They've changed him a bit, but I think this is, like, again, there's this weird thing where they've just made people look older. Like, in trying to add detail to the skin, they've just added more wrinkles and depth, and it's weird. And it's like, it looks good, but it's like, but you're trying, like, this is not a remake. And you're not, like, it's not like an adaptation where you're kind of taking the general idea but doing your own thing with it. Also, I think we're going to skip this because this is all stuff we've seen. But that's some of my early problems with this. And then when we look at this video, this is a video that's compiled direct comparisons of things. So where they've actually, you know, shown both bits. See, there it was again. Hang on. I can button back. Like, why is it so misty? Like, why is it... It just looks wrong. Like, you can see improvements. Like, you can even see some of the kind of awkward polying this rail has, and it's kind of smoothed out here. And, heck, they've even added more light in places. But yeah, like, yeah, the facial animation definitely improved. Especially on Frank. Frank actually had better animations in the pre-release versions. For some reason, they, like, simplified them over time. So he actually looks more reactive to things now. Which I'm happy about. So again, in some places, it looks great. But, like, I think what it's because they're trying to do this, like, you know, like, light cast stuff. But in this engine, it just looks odd in places. Because it has to be quite dark to get light rays like this. But this is indoors in the like middle of the day. You shouldn't see this. You can see the lighting in the scene. Doesn't make sense to have light rays like that. And look, and even from this angle, you can't even see the light rays anymore. It's just weird. And also, it is curious here. I wonder if this opening cutscene... I don't think in the original it uses random models. This is a cutscene shot. I've noticed that, like, most of these zombies are actually different zombie types. Like, some are the right ones. And in other comparisons, you can tell, like, oh no, that's an updated version of the same zombie model. But it's interesting, they just... I guess maybe they do randomly generate which zombies are which for the cutscenes. But yeah, see, this is not a favorable comparison to me. Like, yes, the modeling looks better. Though again, it doesn't look like the same woman to me. But like, the hair's just worse. Like, as rudimentary and basic as this is, where it's just like a texture, because it's not affected by how their shading on hair and lighting works, it doesn't look as weird. Heck, it doesn't even look, and you know, it looks wiry in places as well. So yeah, this is original. But yeah, see what I mean? Like, the lights are supposed to be working still, but it looks just like really dark. Like, I don't know, it's such a weird tone change. And I think, like, if you're supposed to be remastering a game, even if it's this, quote, deluxe remaster, where even Capcom's admitted that some people consider this, like, a remake. Like, yeah, the lighting here looks cool, because there is it said these pre-baked ones, like, this is actual lighting on here. Okay, so this is, like, the best example. You see here, all this, like, reddish-orange parts here. For some reason, in random areas, they've just added more of these planters. And my worry is that it's going to make some areas harder to navigate, because you've got less open space here now. Like, it's not too much. I think when I first saw it, I assumed it was like all these orange bits, but they've definitely narrowed this path here because of it. Also, I find it interesting they just randomly put like a new marquee on this wall here. Like, it's weird, and it's weird because some of it I don't mind that they've taken liberties with here, but it just something about Rush Rewind. But here's where it really bothers me: is like this fountain that you could stand on top of. There were items on top of here usually, and this was also like a good vantage and save point. Can you even stand on here anymore? They've just gone like, fuck it, we're gonna put this weird dolphin here with this fin above it. And this changes the gameplay and the look of this area a lot. Like, this is supposed to be like a small town middle America mall. Like, the population of the area is like less than 1 million. And I think in some of these comparisons, the mall looks too fancy for that. By adding like a lot more of this stuff. It's like, now this looks too fancy for where this place is supposed to be. Like, it's supposed to be kind of shitty. You know, it's... But... I don't know. And some of this I might... Some of this I even wear when I say it. It's like, I don't know how I'm being. Because some of it, I don't know if it's just... I'm just... can't tolerate a change. But... I think when you're supposed to be remastering something, I think you have to keep to that original vision. And just randomly adding shit. I'll say, like, this area looks great. It actually makes sense that this area would be a bit darker, because it's incomplete. But yeah. Like, this one is really bad, I think, of showing just... like, the original tone of this area feels very different now that there's all this stuff up here, and they've put this, like, water motif all around here. It just looks different to me. Oh. Oh, hello there. Thank you for the follow, Cold Zombie. I promise I'm going to get to actual Dead Rising gameplay soon, but I wanted to go over these trailers. One thing I haven't figured out is if they've messed with the zombie count. I don't think they have, but there are some scenes where it does look like they've upped the zombie count. But yeah, this is one where I think, like, this is a huge improvement. Like, yeah, this looks cool. Again, it's done this weird thing as well, where the characters all just look older for some reason. But I think he looks good. And I think this guy, they did a pretty good job on. Whereas, like, the age actually matches. Though, again, he's got, like, grayer hair than before. But again, that's probably the lighting, because look at Frank here. And yeah, we've seen that comparison before in this one. Okay, some people are upset about this. I'm just going to be very blunt about this. So, look. Andrew Chan here is pretty rough. This is... I think even in 2006, this was a pretty offensive caricature stereotype of a Chinese person. And... it might bother people that they've changed him completely. And who knows, maybe this guy is supposed to still be, like, you know, of Asian descent, like, partly. I don't know. I don't know if they've gone the full hog and they've, like... I know he's got a different voice. I don't know if they've just straight up changed his name. But, like, I'm not surprised that they didn't keep this. If any of the psychos was going to get majorly changed, it probably would have been this guy. Also, I will say thematically, it kind of fits better the whole American consumerism commentary that the original game was going for. Feels kind of weird to like randomly have this guy be like the cannibal and meat eater guy. But the change doesn't bother me because like I'm this is rough for fucking 2000. Like even in 2006 this would have been like a moment. So I don't blame them. Like this guy looks like a cartoon parody of a Chinese person. I probably think personally maybe the middle ground would have been to have kept him being Chinese. But like I said, at the same time, like the game was always meant to be a commentary on American consumerism and meat eating and things like that. So it makes more sense thematically. But again, maybe that would have been more appropriate for a remake. One thing we do have to acknowledge, which is a great thing, I don't believe there has been any reports of Capcom is going to take down the original remaster that has all the same gameplay and visual content as the original. I'm pretty sure like nothing like that's gonna happen. Capcom are pretty good about that. You know, they'll still sell older versions of Resident Evil games. They don't pretend that the remakes, quote, adaptations replace it. And, you know, I've got to give them a lot of credit for that, because a lot of other companies don't do that. They don't seem to have very high opinions of their old work. See, look at the reflection tech here. This looks amazing. It might be a bit unrealistic, because there isn't any transparency. These are, like, just a reflection. So the fact that, like, you can see through these is better, but then the actual reflection tech has been made worse because of it. Like, I'm not sure what this is called. Also, I'm sorry that the buffering is happening a lot today. YouTube seems to be buffering a lot more than it normally does. Like, because I think what they're reflecting in the glasses isn't actually real time. Because one thing this video is good for is because you're seeing the scenes side by side. Here, let me skip back a bit. I wish they had included this shot from the original, so we could have actually like matched up what was being reflected. Also, I think it was either in this video or this video that has all the footage. I saw someone complaining that Jesse's I got it. I sound ridiculous knowing I'm even going to say it, but someone was complaining and saying, "Oh, they've censored it. Oh, they've made a bus size go down." No, they haven't. It's exactly the same. They haven't changed it at all. You can even see here. I know the YouTube timeline thing is in the way, but I can just... There's that shot. There's that shot. Like, they haven't changed them. Like, it's not a different size at all. All they've done, as far as I can tell, is they've moved her chest a little bit lower. But in this far shot here, compared to this far shot, heck, actually, they look bigger. Maybe I should have downloaded the videos to make skimming through them a bit easier. Because, yeah, YouTube's buffering. Yeah, they actually look bigger than me, honestly. So, that's, yeah. They look way more... They look... she actually looks like she's gone up a cup size. They've just put them lower. And again, some of the modelling, I think, is close to how a model's supposed to look. Admittedly, her mouth always looked a bit broken in the original. Her top lip looked like it was bent in too much. So, actually don't mind, though a lot of the mouth shape is a bit different. I think they have made her, like, massive kind of, Ashley Graham ears smaller, though. But that's pretty minor. One thing I am curious about is they've mentioned you can aim while shooting. I'm really... sorry, you can move while you're aiming with guns. I'm really curious if that's going to be the same for throwable items. But yeah, it's just weird because it makes the game look bleaker in a way that I think kind of goes against the... Like, this doesn't feel like a real shopping mall. This feels like a movie video game kind of... Like, yeah, it feels more like a movie interpretation of, like... It's this weird thing that because of technology at time, you would have this, like, pre-baked kind of brighter look. But I think for a shopping mall, it makes sense. And some of that saying was probably inferred by the technology. But the light ranges and the amount of shadow and stuff, it doesn't quite make sense to me. Oh yeah, this bit here mentions that blood effects seem to be reduced a bit, but we'll have to see the final game. But yeah, you can see in these shots, I don't know how well it comes up in the stream, but these hat models and these ball models and stuff like that, these do look a lot better. Though I do find it funny some, like this red one here is being changed. I wonder if some of these are like copyright issues. Where someone mentioned like, oh yeah, no, this is like gonna get you in legal trouble. It looks too much like another product. There is a little bit more in this video to show. Again, I think some of the menuing looks better here. Like I said, thanks to popular demand, auto saves. Like, yeah, that's great. And this screen looks a bit better. I don't know if I prefer this, though. I guess it fits the whole photo thing more. Oh, that's cool, though. I didn't know this. I didn't know they were adding new languages for other, like, dubbing for new languages. That's a... See, there's so much this remaster's doing right. In terms of quality of life improvements to the gameplay. And, you know, the Survivor AI stuff, we'll just kind of have to wait and see. Also, I think I'm noticing here that the limit... This item here, this mannequin, normally you couldn't carry stuff like this in your... Unless it was in your main hand. There's items in the game that I think you will drop if they're two-handed. I thought this was one of them. Maybe they've changed that. That's kind of nuts, though. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, yeah, this outdoor area looks a lot better. Like, the lighting here makes sense for the outdoors. I still don't get why they're just like, yeah, just put a fucking massive dolphin here. But yeah, see, some of these shots do make me think they have messed with zombie density, but also, you know, trying to control where zombies are like this is going to be really hard. Okay, there's one more bit I wanted to see. It's just, I think some of the lighting improvement is cool. It just feels like they went too far. Where they're kind of like, oh... But also, again, I think maybe the RE engine is just not as well suited to this kind of artificial lighting look. And it's better for doing kind of like dusky, dark, at night stuff. Okay, there's one more bit I remember, and I think it's at the end. Yes. Here we go. It's at the end of this video. I'm glad people have like done more comparison shots. Here we go. See? These mirrors do not seem to be working. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully in the final game they will be working. But as far as I know, the RE engine doesn't do mirrors like this. These ones that actually project stuff. There were technical limits to how the mirrors worked in Dead Rising 1, where they could only render a couple of zombies at a time. But this looks bad. Like these mirrors. And let's go here. Yeah, I'm just gonna slow it down. Just God, it's funny that I've got this toggle that says to turn annotations on, because they deleted all the annotations. I wonder if that's because of... No, I don't have any YouTube plugins on my browser. Like, look how cool the reflection stuff looks. And it's just... And it's weird, because there are some other shots of this specific area where there does seem to be some sort of reflection here. But I don't think they're doing real-time ones. I think they're just doing, like, a vague... Oh, we captured, like, a projection of what this area normally looks like. But, yeah. I don't think this remake like deluxe remaster, whatever you want to call it, I don't think it looks all bad. I do want to clarify, because it might sound like I've just gone on this negative rant. Oh, hey, welcome to the stream, Clarice. But yeah, I do want to clarify that. There's some stuff that I think looks really good in terms of the quality of change, things like that. But there's a lot of liberty it feels like they've taken with certain characters. Again, the Chinese guy, Andrew Chian, I do not blame them for that change. Like, some people are just gonna cry about it, but like, hey, if you're crying about that, then you're saying that the original, like, incredibly racist caricature in the original is fine. Like, that's the stance you're taking. Again, the 2016 remaster you can still get. My issue though is the changes that don't feel inferred by, like, social standards. There's change, or that might even not be the right word to it, but just like the fact that Frank, they've changed his physical appearance so much. The fact that the lighting mood for most of the mall is completely different. And also, you know, how messed up the hair lighting is for some reason. It reminds me a bit of, I think, when we played the Resident Evil 4 remake demo. And I played it on base PS4, and that game obviously came out a couple of years into the PS5 Xbox Series generation. If you play that game, or you play, say, Resident Evil 2 remake on original Xbox, the hair looks flat and, like, weirdly colored like this. There is something about their the way they do hair that weirdly did not affect Devil May Cry 5. It seems to only be an issue with the Resident Evil devs. It just doesn't handle the lighting right. Maybe Devil May Cry gets away with it because almost everyone has white hair, but the brunettes in that game are fine. Their hair doesn't randomly, like, turn to, like, blonde or graying. It's just, yeah. And also the fact that there's a pre-order. If you pre-order the game, you can get a remastered original model. Also, that it's like, okay, so you knew you changed it, you knew people weren't gonna like the change, but you're like upselling us on getting the original model back. It's one of those things where, considering this is coming out in, like, what, 3-4 months, September. I don't know if there's enough time to necessarily improve on the stuff that I've noticed here, especially as, like, I don't know if people are even mentioning it. Like, granted, maybe the footage they've shown is quite old. Maybe the lighting changes and the weird, like, rendering on hair and stuff. Maybe that's that's gonna be fixed by the final game. Maybe the mirrors be fixed by the final game. But I feel like, unless it's, like, impossible, because I actually did record a bunch of new dialogue, I would probably play a PC mod that just puts TJ back in. Because I just don't see the point of replacing him. Even if it's like, it's not synced up with the new animations. I don't care. And obviously, the new animations is not an excuse for recasting him, because they didn't recast most of the other characters, and those have updated animations. Also, I will show it quick. I could show it in this video. Hang on, actually. No. It is in here somewhere, I think. At some point, they show a comparison between the jumping out of the helicopter. And I remember in the reveal trailer... Okay, it's in this video. I thought it was weird that Frank looks really happy when he's jumping out of the helicopter. Where is it? They do... in one of these videos... Like, yeah. He's smiling here. There actually is in one of these trailers. There is footage of the original jumping out the helicopter. Frank isn't smiling like this. Here, hang on. Like, he looks fucking jumping for joy here. If I search Dead Rising 1 opening scene. Here we go. Okay, I've got to get past all this. Layden. Also, I think they've added new camera cuts in some places as well. Oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, see, look. There it was. Hang on. Oh dear, I misclicked there. You can straight up tell in this shot that they've changed his facial expression. He does not look happy. He just looks like he's going, oh! Because he's, you know, he's jumping out to get away from these fucking military helicopters. But for some reason, they've made it more jokey. And I think that's a thing as well, is I feel like some of the more cartoony, caricature-looking character models... Here, I'm going to close this now. Feels like... you know, they're kind of... Resident Evil 1 always... Sorry. Ooh, I gotta watch myself there. Dead Rising 1's goofiness always felt a bit unintentional, or not in the story of the characters. It was always in the player expression. Whereas now some of the characters looking like more caricatured and not as... Something like some cases the characters look less realistic to me. Frank being like the example. And some of the other bits. It feels like they're leaning into that too much, and as we play some of the Dead Rising stuff, we'll talk about that a bit. Now, I'm just going to quickly end recording, because I'm going to upload this bit separate, because it'll just make a bit more sense. But my end thoughts on that is, like, there's a lot they're doing right, but I do think the swap in the lighting to dynamic lighting is a bit of an issue, just because it's made it, you know, the handcrafted way that a lot of areas are supposed to look is gone. Also, one thing I noticed is that we didn't see any of the underground parking lot tunnels. Maybe that stuff's not ready yet. No, you know, it's a very simple area, so it's not much to say about it. Like I said, maybe a lot of what they've shown is stuff that is already out of date, and by September it's gonna look a lot better. But I don't know, this is one that where, like, if I was told that everything they've shown is basically how the final game's gonna look, I would say you maybe need to delay this a couple months. because like whatever's going on with the hair to make Frank look like he's graying, that needs fixed. I think the characters that look older for some reason, that needs fixing. I think they need to explain why the fuck they've just recast TJ Rotolo despite the fact they're using all the original cutscenes and his fucking motion capture. And you know, obviously there's you're not gonna get there exactly. I do think they could hopefully tune the light in so that when it's during the day and all the kind of artificial overly lit mall look was there. But again, I think if this is, and as I suspect, it looks like the RE engine, I don't think the RE engine is suited to that kind of lighting. But we'll see. Again, I think it's something where it might end up like there might be PC mods that kind of restore some stuff. Again, also, I think Paradise Plaza, I think they took, and it only seems to be that area, they took way more creative liberties, and they've made this like weird nautical theme that wasn't there originally. Or at least if it was there, it was like a lot more subtle, and now there's just like dolphins and waves and stuff everywhere. It's just weird. But at the same time, like, I can respect that they're keeping the gameplay very, very faithful. Though again, I am wondering if a bunch of the boss encounters are going to be broken by letting you move while aiming and shooting from behind the back, because you couldn't do that in the original. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see on that. Alright.